Well, I mean, what we're doing with self-storage, we're taking a building that is might not be fully leased up, and it's still a good building, but
Hmm.
we're buying it well below replacement cost, between $1 million, $2 million, and then we're dramatically changing the rental component of it by entering self-storage into it.
I mean, it doesn't really get any better than that, man. I think that is it's the best way to invest in. And here's one of them that you're doing right now, or that you already have. It's called One Stop. The One Stop, or just One Stop. Is that right?
We launched the brand in 2021, One Stop Self Storage, and so we were had third party management, and we felt that we were not being treated the best, and so we began our own company, One Stop Self Storage.
I think that makes sense. Now, was this particular one like the flagship? Well, the picture says it all, the cornerstone, if you will, of what you started. Is this the one?
This was not our first project. This was the first one stop building. So it's in Dayton, Ohio, and it is 90,000 square feet. It was empty for 40 years. So, by true definition, distressed. I mean, there's no utilities, there's in some cases no windows.
Hmm.
And so we bought that building for just under around $1 million. And then we put about $3 million into it and converted it into self storage.
That's fantastic. I mean, I'm listening to that and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm in a big city. There are vacant buildings and warehouses all over the place. Those are opportunities if you know what to do. Having the idea is one thing, executing it is another. And for a lot of us that don't have the know-how, you know, we don't have anything more than an idea like, oh, I think that'd be great for self-storage. It's just sitting there, what do I have to do? How could one that just has the idea begin to move forward in something like that? They're talking about me right now, but I know there are other people that are listening to the exact same thing. How does one jump into, look, I know that there's this big, massive place over here. It's 3 stories. It's been empty. It's got access to, main roads so people can get out pretty easy. How does one go about, buying the property is one thing, getting it developed with no know-how. What does somebody need to do? Because I heard you mention a third party. How does that all play out?
Well, I think the first thing is understanding what the property can do, and a lot of that is based upon the zoning. So, if you're beginning to look into it, I would always go to the zoning and see what is the property zoned for. And 99% of the time, you can find the municipality zoning online, and you can identify the location and what it is currently zoned and what's allowed. So Dayton was allowed. We didn't have to change the zoning for it. It was zoned for warehouse, which included self-storage Dayton zoning. So that part was a little bit easier, but there's a couple different ways that you can do it. One, you can go and hire an architect, you can go and hire a GC, and you can do all those things. But then the challenge becomes like when you go to a lender, like, what's your experience level? What are these things that you've done?
Mm-hmm.
And we all start there. That's the thing about being an entrepreneur. We all start at ground zero.
Right.
And it's a matter of how you rely upon your previous experience. So you could say, well, I've developed single family, I've developed multifamily,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a transition that we did. My first project on my own was a single family home. And then we got into multifamily, we got into churches, we got into flex warehouse space with athletics and all that. So when people said, hey, have you ever done self-storage? I'm like, it's just an apartment without toilets. It's a more simplistic version of an apartment building.
Mm.
So if I can develop $100 million, multifamily development, I can certainly do a $10 million self-storage facility.
And save a lot of money on plumbing.
Yes. As we like to say, it's apartments without toilets. So, and one other guy just recently said to me, he goes, you kept the tenants, but you got rid of the tenants, but kept their stuff. And I think that's a good example of it too.
Yeah.
Get rid of the tenants and keep their stuff. So in that sense, it's your frame of reference, right? So if you have experience like yourself and you've done multifamily, then you could transition into that. The other option is, if you don't have any experience, is partnering with someone that has.
Mm-hmm.
And, we do that. People hire us, they partner with us, they do different things that we come alongside and work with them. And we've done that, with single family, we've done it with multifamily, we've done it with self-storage. People would come to us and say, hey, I want to build a new house. I don't know where to begin. And we would help them identify a lot, tell them how much they could build, tell them how much it's going to cost, put together the whole financial performance for them, and they would give it to the bank, they would get their loan, and then we would begin the whole development process. It's the same with self-storage.
I like that, because I know that when I got my first multifamily, I thought I knew that you kind of had to build up to getting these things. So I had a bunch of single family stuff. And then I went in and started buying, 6, 8, and 10 unit buildings to fix them up, get, cut my teeth, if you will, and understand exactly how I wanted to operate. How, what kind of an operator was I going to be? But when I sold those, and the first building I went to was a 96 or 98 unit building. And they said, hey, you don't have any experience for this kind of thing. But I had 45 units. I'm basically doubling. They were like, yeah, but those were individuals. So the largest thing you had was a 10 unit. This is almost 10 times the size. You don't have the experience. So I had to go get a sponsor. And I had to give, a pretty large sum away to no matter who I spoke with. At first, I thought, this is crazy. You guys want what for what? And they're serious, and it didn't matter who you went to. I'm giving you everything you need to find success as a real estate investor. So make sure that you subscribe to this channel and like this video. See you later.